We're going to demonstrate how to solve three variable equations using substitution, elimination, and matrices. We will show you how to solve these problems with answers in forms of fractions and positive and negative numbers. We'll start with substitution. To understand that you have to use the substitution method to solve a three variable equation, you will have three equations. Two of the equations have variables that are in terms of a constant, a number, and one equation that has one variable that is in terms of the other variables. You will first label each of the equations 1, 2, and 3. Now as you can see, equation 1 has y in terms of x and z, therefore you'll substitute equation 1 into either equations 2 or 3. But we will start by substituting it into equation 2 first. You can now simplify this by collecting like terms and then dividing it by 6. This can be called equation 4. Now we can substitute equation 1 into equation 3 and simplify by collecting like terms. This can now be called equation 5. Now we need to eliminate the x variable. We do that by multiplying equation 4 by 28. Now you add the new equation 4 with equation 5, you can now back substitute z equals 4/3 into equation 4 to find the x variable. You can now back substitute the equation z equals 4/3 and x equals 2/3 into equation 1. You then simplify to get the y variable. You now put your answer into proper format, which is. That is it for substitution, and now we're on to elimination. To understand that you have to use the elimination method to solve a three variable equation, you'll have three different equations. All three equations will have variables that are in terms of a constant, a number, unlike the substitution method that has an equation that has a variable that is in the terms of the others. To solve this type of problem by using elimination, you must first label each of the equations 1, 2, and 3. Next, you must select a variable to eliminate. We've chosen x. Then you pick any two equations and add or subtract them together to eliminate the chosen variable. In this case, we will use equations 1 and 3. You multiply equation 3 by -4 to balance out the x variables. You then add equations 1 and 3 to eliminate the x variable. This is now equation 4. You then choose two different equations to eliminate the x variable. We are using equations 2 and 3. You will then multiply equation 3 by -3 to balance out the x variables. You will then add equation 2 and 3 to eliminate the x variable. This can be called equation 5. You must then multiply equation 4 by -8 and equation 5 by 14. You then add them together to eliminate the y variable. You then simplify to find the z variable. You then substitute the z value 3 into equation 4 and then simplify to find the value of y. You then substitute the z and the y variables, 3 and 2, into equation 1. You then simplify to find the x variable. You then put these values into proper format as shown. There is an alternate way of solving three variable equations, or in fact a number of variable equations, the matrix method, or Gaussian elimination. The goal of this method is to end up with this triangle, the triangle of zeros at the bottom left. This is because you need to find one variable where h is, then substitute that into equation 2 to find the other, then you substitute both into equation 1 to find the last. An example of this would be, you first label each of the equations 1, 2, and 3. You then convert it into matrix form as shown. As you can see, the format of the numbers is the same as the equations. The first step of solving it is to subtract 2 lots of equation 1 from equation 2 and to add equation 1 to equation 3. You now need to divide equation 3 by 2 to get. You now need to multiply equation 3 by 7 to get. You now need to add equation 2 to equation 3 to get. You now need to substitute the variables back in and algebraically solve the equations. This is equation 3, simplify to find z. You now substitute z equals -4 into equation 2 and simplify to get y. You now substitute the z and y variables into equation 1 and simplify to get x. You now need to put your answer into proper format. That is the end, and thank you for watching.